Captain America Brave New World is on the way, but it's Disney that's going to need to be brave because it turns out audiences might be turned away by what's coming. Marvel, allegedly, reportedly, doing test screenings and a leaked plot online that all show the MCU is headed for a very politically divisive message that could not come at a worser time. Today we're talking about it, folks. Worser indeed. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel that's changing hearts and minds simply by telling the truth with a capital T, bringing Hollyweird back to the mainstream middle, the sensible center where money can be made, reaching the broadest possible spectrum of consumers. Today we're talking about Marvel, we're talking about Captain America, Falcon, as he's called, and folks, get ready because you're not going to believe what they're going to attempt to do with Marvel and the MCU. We'll get the panel on. You click the like button. Here we go. We're going to that website that if you have not yet bookmarked it, well, you should. It's thatparkplace.com. This by John F. Trent. Who's that? Full plot for Captain America Brave New World allegedly leaks. It is a leaky script, that's for sure. A full plot breakdown for Marvel Studios' upcoming Captain America Brave New World film has allegedly leaked following a test screening that was reportedly awful. Folks, as we get into this one, I'll just tell you, Marvel is rapidly destroying the goodwill that they had with Deadpool and Wolverine. And we said that 2025 could be a disaster year for the brand. This is getting worse than I had even believed. No one's watching Agatha. No one wants to watch Captain America Brave New World. Thunderbolts? I think not. We'll talk about it. According to Jordan Ruami at World of Real, the latest test screening for Captain America Brave New World did not go well. He reported on October 7th, 2 different cuts of the film test screened last week. The person who attended didn't seem to like the movie all that much. He added, the reactions I've heard have not been very kind to this movie, which is being described as inessential and flat. Oh, but it gets worse. This was reiterated by ex-user My Time to Shine Hello, who wrote, just heard back from like 3 people who went to see Captain America Brave New World test screening, and woof, movie sounds awful. Uh-oh. A full plot leak for the film has also leaked and was shared to the Leaks and Rumors subreddit by user Elamino Pecure. All right. Folks, if you do not want to be spoiled, maybe right now, close your ears and come back in 30 seconds. The user shared. Movie opens with Sam on a mission going after the Serpent Society. They were supposed to lead Sam and Joaquin to the buyer of the package. Giancarlo has some nuns hostage and spouts very generic villain dialogue like, "Ooh, I will take over the world." Sam fights Serpent Society dude with golden fang knives. The guy has super soldier strength, but Sam beats him before more soldiers arrive. Sidewinder gets away. It goes on to talk about, we won't go through the full leaks of it. Just know it ain't good. It is really, really not good.
So I have to ask then, go ahead. Is it supposed to be that Giancarlo Esposito is playing Sidewinder?
John, that's you're the author here. What do you got?
That's what the leak looked like to me, that he's playing the character named Sidewinder. Yes.
Yeah, you're going to get 5 of these serpents, supposedly.
And so, folks, I'm not going to spoil it too much. We'll just let it slowly scroll in the background. If you'd like to read, you can. And we'll continue on with our conversation about this situation. John, you're the author here. Give us some of your thoughts about how bad this might be and how disastrous it could turn out for the MCU. It's our next film.
It looks like it's kind of like a grab bag of other superhero movies where they steal plot points and kind of try and shove them in there in order to try it. They're like, oh, that was a cool thing that they did in this movie. Let's stick it in here. And they're kind of just trying to kind of create this smorgasbord. And it doesn't look like it goes very well. Like, there's a scene that's kind of straight out of X2, X-Men United, that opening scene with Nightcrawler, where he tries to assassinate the president of the United States. That's one of the most iconic comic book scenes out there. Probably one of the most iconic opening scenes for a comic book movie, if not the most iconic. And they looks like they have kind of a scene like that in here, but it looks like it is just very derivative, doesn't kind of like hold up to it. And instead of basically being brainwashed by the potion or whatever he calls it, the serum that he's got, you're literally being brainwashed by like a cell phone from the leader. It just it doesn't, like we said, there's no imagination, there's no creativity. It feels very bland, and again, kind of derivative already from that X2 X-Men United scene. It doesn't look like there's a lot of Red Hulk either. They're teasing Red Hulk, and it doesn't look like we're really getting a lot of Red Hulk with Harrison Ford. So maybe obviously trying to cut the budget back there with the CGI and the Hulk and all of that stuff. And I think that's a missed opportunity, because I think people would be interested in seeing kind of that Red Hulk storyline. I do think that is an interesting storyline from the comics that they are kind of not actually going to do, but this is kind of what Marvel does now. They don't actually find any inspiration from the comics anymore. They're just kind of doing their own thing and hoping that it sticks. And for the most part, it usually does not, especially within the last, since I'd say 2019 after Endgame.
Well, it's also strategically very foolish that they're ripping off X-Men 2 with the White House scene, because when you do that, you're going to be compared. And yet they have the hubris to believe that they'll do a better job, such that people won't go, oh, well, you just ripped off the Nightcrawler thing.
Right. And then there's like another plot point, I guess, where they're talking about Thunderbolt Ross, who is the president of the United States. And I guess he's somehow desperate, despite having like the apparatus of the U.S. government at his hand, that he has to like turn to the leader for help. That just seems like a little utterly ridiculous to me. Hard to kind of buy into this fact that he's got to like turn to this guy who's got some kind of lollipop medication that he takes in order to like keep him around or whatever. That just seems utterly ridiculous.
So the other thing, John, is that according to this leak that we've got on thatparkplace.com, the movie is going to evoke some very politically divisive stuff, including stuff that happened about almost 4 years ago in a January. We'll leave it at that. But they're going to be evoking some imagery of that in a Marvel movie. That could go very poorly. Jonas, Culture, what do you guys think about the idea of, again, because we've seen this once sort of with the X-Men animated show, what do you guys think about them going to this political inspiration that could send half the audience out of the theater or more?
I think this is just another cultural moment where it doesn't matter to one set of people and very much matters, like as if it is one of the biggest things that has ever happened in the history of the world, according to the other side. I think it's very out of touch. That it would be like if it is as if there was a local California item that happened that was really traumatic to about 6 city blocks. And then they wanted people in like Wichita, Kansas to care about it. I get it that it was very traumatic to a very small subset of people in Washington, D.C. And I get it that it was very traumatic to people who were addicted to the news around then. It got dragged out to the point where everyone else who did not think it was as big of a deal as it was is now completely sick of it and does not care about it because they have been desensitized to it because it has become a political football. And this is a company that does not understand the contempt that they have shown for their audience and the kind of people who want to move past whatever this is. I just feel like this is very tone deaf, and they think they're quieting the noise, or they say they're quieting the noise when all they're doing is just showing how little they actually think of their audience. It's stupid. It's smug. Just move on, please.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think we have some very myopic folks that are directing their attention towards only one thing. And I think you're right. I mean, in a handful of cities across the country that are very focused on nothing but politics and trying to drive the country in a completely different direction that is the direct opposite of freedom. I think that they've played their hand, and Disney's thrown in their lot with this in every way they possibly could, which changed their fundamental belief systems around which their company was based. So,
is this a pipeline timeline issue, Culture, where they assessed when they were designing this film the political climate would be completely different than it is today?
Exactly. I think they suffered from this is the biggest problem with Disney or any of these media companies right now. I think you've talked about this before. I know I have. This is you are so
if it's
myopic
highly
in the
intelligent
now.
and insightful, then yes, I'll take the credit. If it's
Well,
not,
fair, but
okay,
if all you're focused in on is the now of the moment, it's impossible to make a timeless thing. So by the time something comes out, it's wildly out of touch with the audience. So instead of aiming for timeless, they aim for something they think is a current way of telling their side of the story when it comes to whatever their myopic viewpoint is, and that's why we get stuck with this garbage. I mean, it's the same problem. Joker 2 is an example of that. There's a long list we could go through of why did this film fail. Well, because go ahead.
I need to throw in here Captain America. Sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was, and I'm just going to say it was incredibly lame. It was everything you like about the MCU minus all of those things, and then you stay there with these characters. They actually reworked the super serum so that no one has to be hot. Which is like, okay, well, that's an interesting idea for marketing your show, but it is a show that did at one point have an element about medicine that needed to be handed out to the rest of the world and the hoarding of medicine. It got held back, I think, because of political reasons and Disney wanting to stay away from culture war issues. There's this undercurrent.
Really? Disney wanted to stay away from culture war issues. Where is that Disney again?
Right. There was some kind of tuberculosis injection that people could take or something to that effect, some kind of medicine. And there are little snippets of it in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier that are all cut out. So there's something else that was supposed to be in that. And maybe that's the reason it's a total mess. But no, it's not. It's the weird anti-American, anti-colonialist villain that they want to try to turn into a hero. That's the problem. But they can't help but make every single Captain America thing into this cudgel that's supposed to beat down half of the country, as opposed to Winter Soldier, which is very much about, oh, well, if you hand over all of your security over to the government, you're going to have a bad time. Very Captain America message right there.
So
liberty
they're stuck,
and the government, and the fact that two of those things live inside of Captain America, as opposed to this, which is, what if it was the most insufferable political football of the last 4 years? What if we did that on screen?
Okay, but to go back to the Epcot issue again, remember, Elon Musk is taking over the mantle from Walt because he believes in a future worth fighting for, and Disney believes in dystopia, right? Same thing with the Captain America issue. They have a character named Captain America. Captain America sells toys, yet they're ashamed of America. So therefore, they're stuck always making movies about Captain America now, where he either doesn't look or feel like Captain America, or where they are proving to you that he can somehow overcome the history of the nation that he stands for, or a combination of both. Erica, you live internationally. How do you think tying this movie into that event in January of 2020, how do you think that will play out internationally? Like internationally, do you sense that people care about that? Will they just run with it and be like, oh yeah, it's another anti-American film? Like, what do you think the reaction will be?
I think they'll roll their eyes at it, and it's also not really relevant to
So you
people
think
in other
it comes
countries.
across as self-obsessed and ethnocentric?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be and then this, we've exhausted this in many streams before where, the audience is just tired of all these superhero movies. I came across my feed and I'm like, oh, another one. Okay. They're boring.
Erica, I have to ask you, so because you have a unique living situation compared to the rest of us here on the panel, would you suggest that the reason that the international box office is falling off is because of the tired garbage political tropes that the American films have instead of the escape that we used to offer an international audience when it came to entertainment?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it's there again, it's just not relevant. Like, to take Germany, for example. Our politics in America, though your average German is pretty well versed in what's going on in American politics. But, it's not their problem either. have their own problems in their own country, so it's like they care but they don't care, and when you put it in entertainment, it's just like, okay, like it's funny, not funny, it's just not interesting.
What do we think about the idea that they
what else is there
this
even
character?
to say about what is there even to say at this point about that event as well, or the fact that they already blew the wad on Falcon and the Winter Soldier on the idea of a black Captain America. They used it on Disney Plus instead of putting it in this film. So what is this? Is this going to be like Mission Impossible, where J.J. Abrams gets a hold of it, and so they just go ahead and redo the plot of one of the first few episodes of Alias as a movie and hope nobody watched it? This movie cannot say anything that is interesting at this point. There's no hook to it. We've already seen some aspects of this version of Captain America. Red Hulk. I don't think anybody is really interested in Red Hulk if they don't have the Green Hulk there to face him.
I'm as excited as I would be for Blue Hulk at this point.
It's also, they don't have the rights to the Blue Hulk, but they can mention him.
What about Mauve? Can we get Mauve Hulk? Lavender,
Sorry,
maybe?
That was an attempt at a Lord of
chartreuse.
the Rings joke, but I just there is nothing in this film that I can see them bringing somebody in for. They could say, please, we hope you get confused between this and how you felt about Captain America Winter Soldier, because they can't do Captain America Civil War because they don't have the pieces in order to do that. Just please release this movie, get it over with, put this thing straight on Disney Plus. Oh wait, they won't do that because they can't put it on their poster.
They're 425 million plus into this, Jonas. They're not drawing anybody back into Disney Plus. I can't imagine them doing that.
Well, and plus Film Threat has said
to highlight
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to highlight what Culture was saying there, we have comments from Tim Blake Nelson, who plays the leader, who has admitted that he filmed the entire film twice. He said that he did it twice. They shot this movie twice. It wasn't just reshoots, as Anthony Mackie has tried to downplay. They literally filmed the entire movie twice. This movie is going to be an absolute disaster when you look at just kind of the dollars and cents of this, for sure.
That's what's crazy is that we just reported earlier today that the Rachel Zegler Snow White movie appears to have been completely redone.
How many times?
Yeah, that came out of, I think, was that InWire that had that report where they slipped up and said how long she had been filming Snow White the third time? It was like 6 months.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, I mean, how many times are you shooting this film? How much is it going to cost? I mean, we have 2023 numbers, September 2023 numbers that make that one of the most embarrassing things Disney's ever done financially.
Okay, so let me ask you a quick question as we get... Go ahead, Ron.
Are both these movies coming out about the same time period, like February, March next year?
Oh yeah, talking about Snow White and So
yes, Snow White and Captain America.
Snow White's in March, and this one, Captain America's what, February?
How much money are they going to lose? How much money is Disney going to lose?
Ron, that's a great question.
I mean,
gosh, that's a
like
great
how
question.
many? Over $1 billion?
Ron, it depends. Now they won't lose that much, but it depends on if the Barbie crowd shows up for Snow White. But that is a great point. In a worst case scenario, they could lose $200 million on Snow White, and they could lose 150 on Captain America: Brave New World. I'm not suggesting that's going to happen because they're trying to do two things. They're trying to get Snow White to grab the Barbie crowd. They think they've got a shot at it, and they're trying to use, I think, this is my thought on this, Black History Month to drive the Captain America crowd.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. I mean, it's the same reason why Yasuke is going to be, was going to be deigning our eyeline in the same day. They're absolutely.
I have to ask this. How is it that they're not going to lose $1 billion on this? Because they're already at 400 million.
Yeah.
Each on each of these films, not counting marketing, which will be 100 to 150, maybe 250, depending on how they do it. So I think they've already lost $1 billion on these.
It's a repeat of 2023, right? You had the Marvels, you had that Haunted Mansion movie, and then there was some other there was like a couple Pixar movies I feel like too, as well as
Strange
Wish,
World
right?
and
Wish.
Lightyear.
Little
I mean
Mermaid.
Lightyear.
So I'm in the
Yeah,
very
Little
strange
Mermaid, yeah.
position of defending Disney for a moment. Folks, apologies for this. Don't unsubscribe. But let's say that both of the films cost $400 million. We don't think that's actually true. We think that Snow White cost more. We think that Brave New World cost slightly less, maybe. But for the ease of math, let's put it at $400 million. That gets us to $800 million. Let's say that both of them have a $150 million marketing push behind them. That gets us to 1,100, okay? So $1.1 billion. All right, so at $1.1 billion, if each of the films makes $200 million at the box office, or they make, let's say, I mean, worst case scenario is they make something like $350 international. Yeah, surely global, they've got to pull $350 each. That gets you to $700. You divide that in half, you get to $350. So you could see a loss of $800 million. That's reasonable, but to lose more than $1 billion on both of them is pretty tough. Now you want to throw Thunderbolts in the mix, and I'm there. Now, before we start going to math, though, I want to throw one quick thing in, and you all tell me what you think, okay? And tell me what you've heard. I have heard that Disney has made efforts, and this is rumor and speculation, folks. I have heard rumors that Disney has already taken efforts to get Robert Downey Jr. into a 2025 movie as an outro, as a post-credit scene, as something. Any chance that he lands in this one for an inquisition to try to drive the audience?
Yeah, we reported on this. I don't know, last year, 2 years ago, there was a DHS employee who said that while they were filming this movie, the Captain America movie that doesn't have Captain America in it, that Robert Downey Jr. was actually on set and was filming scenes for the film. So that's what he said.
So you're telling my source is 2 years
around DC.
So my source is 2 years late. Darn it, source. Well, but there's a bit of a corroboration. So
yeah, I think we've heard it more than a few times, to be fair, and from people that likely they have good track records like you do, Pro. So
thank you, Culture.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking we're underestimating the disaster of 2025 for Disney.
Well, they don't want to muck up. They don't want to destroy RDJ. Like they don't want him to be associated with the flop because that would damage their whole effort to revivify the thing with this.
Which is why they reshot the entire film, likely.
Well, I mean, consider this. They've already shot four episodes of the Daredevil show, Born Again, Again. And they scrapped them all and started again from the beginning. And one of the biggest conversations around this, John, and I don't know if you can recall because you have amazing recall, but is that they're shooting things without scripts. And I mean, and we were joking about it several years ago, but they continued to do that up until last year.
Yeah, I mean, they admitted this, right? The guy from Secret Invasion or whatever, he said that they were like cutting the show after they had released the first episode already on Disney Plus, that they were still in the editing room trying to put the entire story together with the footage that they had shot. So if they're doing it on the television show, one would assume that they're doing it in the movies as well. And this is probably something that they had been doing. We know that we had, when the Daredevil stuff got canceled, we also saw them basically talk about how they were getting back to doing regular television instead of kind of this fly by the seat of your pants style that they were doing.
Which is a great statement because and you don't have to go back but a couple of years and remember that this came out on the Lucasfilm side where, Rodriguez was handed 19 pages of script and had to figure it all out, for Boba Fett. Am I misremembering?
I don't recall that, but
he had to figure out how to fill in 19 pages of script. I'm not sure.
Oh yes, he talked about that in one. Yes, he did say that he had to fill some stuff in while he was actually shooting. I do recall that now. Yes.
Yeah, it's wild. You're a professional media company. And you've been doing it for now 100 years, sort of. I mean, like other people did it really good for 75 years. The last 25 have not been the best, but yeah.
And folks, let the credits roll for this one. Well, it is in the bank. We are done here. We're over and out. But before we go, there's one thing we must shout to you, and we do it in the kindest way possible. Folks, It would be such a pleasure if you could consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and that notification bell. Click it, stick it to the algorithms. You bet. Don't forget also, as you get ready to leave, drop a comment down below if you have not yet, for we would love to know what's on your mind. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. Join a community dialogue. Folks, as we get ready to leave, we say to you, and we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and no matter what the world might do or what your station might be, up or down, you keep having fun.